The vast majority of your email subscribers are actually reading your emails on their cell phones. So let's talk about what you can do to make your emails more mobile friendly. Number one, keep your email formatting as simple as you can. Often when you have more complex formatting, like multiple columns, it can actually cause your emails to look a little wonky on a mobile phone. So if you can keep your emails to mostly text, it's going to make a big difference for your mobile viewers. Number two, make sure your subject lines are pretty short. If you think about it, on your phone, you only have about 50 characters that actually display in your mail app. Avoid really long, drawn-out subject lines and try to get your point across in about 50 characters. And make sure you're using your preview or your pre-header line, which is that little line that shows up underneath the subject line in your email app. It's a great place to put additional information that can catch your users' attention so they actually want to open your email. Number three, make sure you're using fonts that are easily readable on the phone. I almost always set my fonts to at least 16-point font because I want to make sure that it's big enough for all of my readers. Also make sure that the specific fonts that you choose also render properly on a phone. Keep your fonts as simple as possible. The Arials and the Source Sans and ones that aren't really scripty or flowy. If you've ever tried to touch a text-based hyperlink on your phone, you'll know that it's not as easy as it should be. So consider making all of your links and especially your calls to action in a button instead. Not only are they more obvious and easier to touch, they're going to stand out more and it's going to draw your readers' attention to what you actually want them to do. Number five, make sure you're using plenty of white space. Now, white space is the space around your text, right? And it can be a really powerful tool to help increase the readability of your emails. And this goes for desktop or mobile. Remember, what looks like a simple paragraph on desktop may look like a giant wall of text on mobile, and that really could turn some readers off. So what does it look like to leave a lot of white space? Well, think about breaking your paragraphs up into shorter paragraphs, right? So instead of 4 or 5 sentences, maybe break your paragraphs into a sentence or two. If you have items in a series, consider using bullet points to list them out. In a similar vein, if you have, say, steps in a process, use numbers to separate those. They'll stand out better for your users, and it'll help draw their attention to the change in the text so that they actually pay attention to it. A lot of folks want to use a lot of images in their emails, and I totally get it. We get a lot of emails every day that are beautifully designed, right? But the thing is, having too many images in your emails can actually send your emails to the spam folders because those are spam flags for the inbox providers. So what do? Well, if you choose to use images, which in moderation is probably fine if you've been emailing for a while, make sure you always use alt text or alternative text to describe what is going on in the photo or in the image. Why is this important? Well, a lot of people actually use programs that disable the images from loading on their phones, and some people use it on desktop as well. But if you have a lot of important information that's captured in images and they have images disabled on their phone, they may not know that what you're trying to say, right? Also, alt text is really important for people who use assistive devices like screen readers. Instead of reading the image, it will read the text in the alt text field so that the person who's reading the email, or to whom it's reading the email, actually knows what you have included there. You might even consider leaving images out of the mobile view of the email entirely if they're not vital to the message. If you want to break up sections of your email with like headers and that sort of thing, if your tendency is to want to use image-based headers, try text-based headers instead. Text and copy design, like bold-facing, italicizing and underlining, changing the font size or the font color, or even using emojis can be a great way to add that variety and that visual interest without adding images. One of the other problems with images is if they're too big, they can take a long time to load. And if your images don't load immediately, a lot of people are going to bail. So if you do use images in your email, make sure that you have them optimized for faster delivery. Some email platforms actually have an option for you to do that, so it will compress your images for you, but a lot of them don't. So if you have an image that's 2,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels, that actually is probably a really big image, and you don't need that high a resolution to actually get the point across in the image. So reduce that image size to, say, 200 by 300, and it's going to really improve the load time without sacrificing the quality of the image. And finally, and this is the most important, never assume that your emails look good on mobile without actually testing it on mobile first. A lot of platforms have a view where you can kind of see what it will look like on mobile, but I don't always trust that view. So always send yourself a test email before you send out an email that you're sending to your list. Make sure it looks good on desktop and make sure it looks good on mobile. Thanks so much for joining me. If this was helpful, drop me a like, subscribe if you want more email marketing tips, tricks, and suggestions, and I'll see you next time. Take care.